Hello, hello.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Oh, I'm muted. Good afternoon. I get to see her little head. Say hi, Delilah.
Hi.
Hi, baby. Hi.
Again, with I don't know if you guys could hear it. There's like they're cutting grass or something. I don't know what's going on. No? Okay,
I
great. So
can
I
hear.
have a setting on the mic.
All right. So before we get started, anybody have any questions about anything so far?
Hmm.
Do uh, do we need to get the emotional intelligence book too?
No, did I leave that in the direction somewhere? I tried to
Yeah,
get it out.
I think it's in the questions of the homework book and stuff. So I wasn't sure because we didn't go over that. So I wasn't sure if we need that book as well.
No, I'm gonna check. Let me have Jess check that. No, I had it in the pilot, but it was too much to have two books.
Okay.
So we're just gonna do the more
I
important
don't,
one.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. Well, the more important one is the transformation one, the coach one. If you want a book to read on emotional intelligence, the EQI 2.0 by Travis Bradbury is the one to get. And read that. But because it's specific to the EQI assessment, 2.0 assessment that you're going to be taking. And you'll get those invites tonight after this class. And you'll click on the invite. It'll come to your email. You'll click on the invite and it'll take you right to the assessment portal. And you'll take the assessment and it'll tell me that you've taken it. And then I'll tell it to send the reports and it'll send me a report and it'll send you a report. And then we'll go over them loosely next week. And then we have a one-on-one that you can schedule anytime after after June, so like in July or forward, but anytime to go over those because it actually is a coaching tool. It shows you where your strengths are, it shows you where you need improvement, it shows you how things connect to other things, which is what we're learning through the course anyway. And then what we do is we look at the areas for improvement and, just kind of create in that debrief session, we kind of create an action plan for you to, to get better in those areas that are going to directly help you in your coaching. So that's one of the things I really enjoy is the emotional intelligence piece. So that'll be cool. But yeah, let me,
So, so you're saying there's no like instrument or book or whatever to like study from. It's just an assessment about where you are currently in terms of your emotional intelligence.
yep, it shows you well, we're going to go through it so you'll see, but it's 5 scales and 15 subscales. And I show you how they relate to coaching, but that assessment is going to assess you on all those levels and it's going to show you how they interact with each other. And then we apply them to coaching that way. So it's an assessment. There is a book that you can read afterwards that is called EQI 2.0, which is the name of the assessment from Travis Bradbury. And it's a good book. And like I said, I had it in the pilot, but the feedback was that it was too much with the other book. And so just to have one book. So the better book for coaching is the Transformational Coach. So
So
uh,
EQI 2.0, I'm sorry, what was the author again?
Travis Bradbury, I can put a link in the forum if you want.
That's okay. I mean, I can just go to Amazon.
That's where it is. Yep. Okay. Um,
Was that our group mentoring class on Tuesday?
It was.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what I had down on my paper calendar, just checking myself.
Yeah, that was our first group mentoring. Um, I'm just trying, let's see. But I thought that I took it out. Okay, you can check that. All right, any other questions?
I don't think so.
Okay,
You did get my email
I did.
about June 11th, which I'm very sorry to miss the class, but this is a meeting that was set up by people who it's not like, does this work for you? And, how about a different date? It's like, here's the date. And I've been waiting to get a date with these two church people. So I can't change it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And actually that's the week that I'm away. And so Lori is teaching 4 classes starting with the 11th. Lori Marini. And well, you know her, Maria, I think.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So she'll be teaching the 4 classes for the 11th, the 13th, the 25th, and the 27th. And the week of the 17th is your first one-on-one mentoring, which means your recordings, now that I'm looking at it though, that doesn't seem like a whole lot of time. Your first recording would be due by the 7th, which is next Friday.
The first recording to turn in?
Yeah, so you're gonna turn in a total of 3 recordings for your mentoring.
Yes.
The first one would be due by next Friday. Is that gonna be doable for both of you?
Well, I have a coaching session tomorrow. I could ask him.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so as soon as you guys get those, send them in, and then we'll set up the one-on-ones for the week of the 17th. And I would say my Thursday is looking pretty open on the 20th. If that works for you guys, and you want to give me a time that works for you, I can just set those up right now.
So this is the week we don't have the 1 to 3:30 class.
Right.
I am pretty open after 2 o'clock. Well, like 2 o'clock. Is that available?
Yeah, 2 o'clock sounds good. All right, let me put you in there. How about you, Maria?
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
The 20th
Oh, we're June, right?
of June.
Hold on. 20th. Yeah, I could do, it's open, I could do any time in that day or,
Okay. Let's see. What do you want to do? Like 1?
yeah, that's perfect.
Then this way I'll just do you, and then I'll do Julie, and we'll be done.
Yep.
All right,
And
so,
what are we addressing in
so,
these one-on-ones?
yeah, we're gonna go over the
Sorry.
recording and the review sheet that I do, which breaks down each core competency, what you did well, what you didn't.
And between now and then, are we going to coach each other or
Yes.
coach somebody that you bring in?
Yeah.
Which one will you be evaluating?
Oh, I'm going to evaluate the recording that you send me. And then I'm evaluating any time that you coach in the class. So there's two different
Okay.
things going on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's the in-class coaching, which we do that sheet that I showed you. I do that every time you coach. I do that sheet. So you're getting immediate feedback on your coaching. The one-on-ones is more in depth. You're getting the evidence, you know, there's a transcript, we do the evidence, that kind of thing. And you're getting more, and that's the one-on-one, you're getting more direct feedback on how to, how to get better at it. So there's those two pieces.
So I guess my question is, when we have our one-on-one, will that be on everything? Are we going to do the recording and the two other, I guess all three recordings before we do that one-on-one on the 20th?
No, so you're gonna do one recording and we're gonna use that for the 20th. And then you'll do another recording before our second one-on-one.
Gotcha.
The last recording is actually your final. And that one, you need to either submit a transcript or I can do the transcript, but you would pay for that transcript, which is $25 for 30 minutes. And that one is your final for the course. And for Maria, that's your final for your ACC, the performance part. You would then go just to the ICF to take the written exam. So that final one is done at the end of the course, and we review that. I'll show you the schedule, but it's at the third one-on-one is when we review that.
And for the ACC, do I submit it over to them and then schedule for the written, or how does that?
No, so I actually do your assessment.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get the provisional accreditation any day. And then by the time you're ready, I should have the final accreditation. So then you would just go and apply. You would just apply, it's called level 1. You would apply through level 1. And we'll go over all this in our third group. I go through the whole thing, but
Okay.
you would apply level 1 and all they're going to ask you to do is schedule your written exam because you've already passed the performance evaluation through me. That's how that works. And ignore the first confirmation that you got. It was for like 10 a.m. or something. I just sent you the right one. Okay. All right, so we have a recording to listen to, and it's pretty interesting. Take some notes as you're listening to it. And actually, I'll show what I'll do is, if it lets me, is I will share the evaluation form, and then this way you can see what we're looking for, as we did before. You can see what we're looking for when we are assessing. So I can share that, I know for sure, but I don't know about the sharing both at the same time, so we'll see. There's the form. And also you have this form in the UpCoach, and it'd be easier if you just downloaded it to your computer because you'll be looking at this while if you're observing any coaching sessions, you're going to be looking at this. to see what's being done and what's not being done. You're actually gonna kind of do little reviews on specific core competencies that I assign you when we get to that coaching piece. But anyway, I'm gonna just keep this open for now. And let's see. Advanced sharing. That's not it. No, maybe I can't do both. That's okay. We'll just do one. All right, where is that recording? Right, I want to share audio. And you tell me if you can hear it.
Generative thinking today.
Hang on, let's go back to the beginning.
Is there anything you would like to say just to feel like you're fully in this bubble of generative thinking today?
No, I think it's so funny when all the videos go off, you suddenly feel.
It is just us two. So what is it you would like to think about, Ali?
So this is a little bit off the wall today.
How?
I want to start a band.
And what's off the wall about that?
I guess it's not a. It's very personal.
What's that?
It's really weird because before we started the coaching, I was starting to feel a little bit nervous, like I do when I'm going to perform. So I've got that sort of nervous excitement, anticipation.
And as you sense that nervous excitement and anticipation and whatever's going on in your body, how would you like to harness that to help you to do some good work here today?
I think it's an interesting sensation because it feels like nerves, but as you get closer to performing, it feels a bit more like excitement. And then when you are performing, it feels sort of calm and right. So I think I'd like to hopefully progress towards that sensation.
Calm and right. And how will you know that you've got to calm and right?
I will feel it a little bit like I just did then. I'll breathe right down into my belly.
Okay. So we're aiming for that real deep breathing. And so what is it we need to work on together in order to get you from where you are now to that sense of calmness, deep breathing, rightness?
It's something about building my confidence, about transitioning, I suppose, from like playing with a group of people, lots of random things, to being clear about what I want.
So being clear about what you want. And what does that encompass, what you want?
So it's a good job you said no judgment at the beginning, because I want it to be a country music band. Because that's what I like playing and singing. And I think there's a better chance of being successful if you've got a focus for your band, that you're not just playing any old random covers from lots of different genres.
So you know that already, Ali. So what is the work that we're doing here today?
Like I know what I want to do. This is very new, that I've decided that I really, really definitely want to do this. So it's a real fresh idea. I know what I want to do. I know the people that can be in the band that can help me do it. There's two things really. One is having that conversation around, this is what I want and I'm going to lead this, rather than at the moment we're all kind of equals in when we get together for jamming sessions. And the second thing is there's just a niggle about, will it just turn into a whole lot of organising, herding cats, and completely take the enjoyment out of the whole experience?
Okay, so something about leadership, and there's something about not being the logistical organizer.
Yes.
Am I hearing that?
So when you said leadership, that would just made me think of, it's the kind of inspiring leader that has the creative ideas and is really good at bringing people along, not the person that makes sure everyone turns up on time and books gigs and all of that boring stuff.
Yeah, I hear you don't want to do that bit.
I'd be crap at it as well, more to the point.
So let's just check that we know what it is that we're doing. How would you summarize the work that we're doing here today, and how you'll know you've got what you need?
Yeah, so as well as the feeling, I will feel confident that I can have the conversation. And I'll know what I want to say. And I think that whole not doing the admin bit will be part and parcel of that, because what I want to create initially is a focus for the music. It's not necessarily about going and booking gigs straight away. It's more about creating a focus, creating a set list, blah, blah, blah. So I think being able to plan how that conversation happens, that bit will fall into place later.
So we've got a real focus here on the conversation, having confidence about what that conversation is.
Yeah.
And what is it about this conversation that feels important to you?
It feels important because it will ultimately lead to me doing what I want to do with my music.
Where do you feel that in your body?
Oh, all over the place. Makes me feel a bit, the jitters have come back.
Ah, okay. And what are the jitters saying?
Well, it's quite exciting. Yeah, it's exciting. But it feels like a difficult conversation, and I don't really know why it feels like a difficult conversation.
What's your hunch?
It's a change of behavior in a way for me, because I'm very much a go with the flow person, and I like making music. So I'm like, yeah, we'll play that, I'll sing that, we'll do that. So it's a sort of change of behavior or persona, I suppose. I need some cowboy boots.
Yay. And what will the cowboy boots give you?
Sat stature. They're going to have heels. They're going to
Very
give
human heels, right? Yeah.
stature. Yeah.
And what is it about this stature that's going to support you in this conversation?
It's about so there's two people involved initially. One who is very much even more go with the flow than I am, who would literally play nursery rhymes if I said that's what we were going to do from now on. Although he's a very good guitarist, so he shouldn't be playing nursery rhymes. But the other is quite a strong character and quite opinionated, which is really helpful when you want him to and get you in front. Maybe he could do the admin actually. But I think I need to be very firm with my messaging and about what I want to do. And actually, if either of them are like, I'm not into that, go and find another bass and another lead guitar, that's fine. But it's not letting myself be so like get the edges eaten away at. So I say, right, I want to play country music. I'll be lead vocalist, you be backing singer, la 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 la, the kind of roles that we play anyway. And they all go yes, and then it's suddenly like, oh, can we just play this rock song or this pop song? Or I would be very prone to just be like, yeah, okay. And I don't, and I think what I want to create should not allow for that.
So you want edges
Yes.
that don't get eaten away, that don't allow for this going with the flow
Yes.
that you've been used to before.
I've just drawn a square.
And what does your square tell you?
Well, it's got a couple of gaps at the bottom, which is probably should not be there because otherwise things could filter out of it. So there's stuff that I want to be in that square, and there's stuff outside the square too. And it's not to say I'm only ever going to sing and play country music for the rest of my life. But for the purposes of the band, there is a square.
What's it?
There is a square. I'm going to write, I've got an interim name for the band, so I'm going to write that in the square.
I'm curious about interim.
Well, I haven't checked out whether anyone else has called this yet, so just because of that, and I haven't brainstormed it very much. This was literally with my husband in the car as we were driving to the supermarket. It's quite a good name though. And I'm also going to draw inside some little stick people. There's me with my microphone that looks like a lollipop. There's Daniel with a guitar and a microphone, and there's Ken. And they're in my square at the moment.
What are you noticing?
They're on one side of the square and I'm on the other side of the square.
What's that telling you?
Might be hiding behind my lollipop microphone at the moment.
And what's the significance of hiding?
I'm now drawing some very big cowboy boots on my stick figure. And I'm going to put the lollipop microphone in the other hand so it's not in the way. I can't hide.
What were you hiding from?
Difficult conversation.
Okay. And so by placing the microphone in the other hand, what does that do for you?
It opens up this almost space between me and them and what I want to say to them. So I'm now drawing a little arching arrow towards them.
Go on, what's going on for you?
I think it's a lot simpler than it feels. You know, sometimes when you think a conversation is going to be really difficult and then you go blah, 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 and everyone's like, yeah, of course. I think it might be like that.
So what's the blah, blah, blah?
It's the, okay. I've written, I want to be A, and now I can't write the next bit.
What's stopping you?
It feels a bit selfish. It feels like it's all about me. It is. At the moment, it is. So. I want to be a singer in a country band. Number one. Number two, do you want to be in my band? There's a great country song called Check Yes or No. I think that's what I need.
So still feeling selfish?
No, but I'm starting, the nervousness is getting to the excitingness.
What's this?
There's excitement. I feel, it feels good. It feels a lot. It's actually really simple.
Mm. So as we come into our last 4 minutes, what are you noticing that has emerged for you as new learning?
That what felt very difficult and complicated because I was tuning into my emotions about it actually is something that's really simple. And when I really simplify it into those 2 sentences, it feels possible and exciting and really good.
What's important to you about that simplification?
Well, it feels like something that I can do. And not actually, I don't feel nervous about it or scared about it. I feel quite calm about it. Because it just makes that box. That box is a country band. I want to be the singer. Do you want to join me?
And where's your breathing now?
Oh, yes. It is in my belly.
So what have you learned about yourself here, Ali, that you can extrapolate out to other situations?
I don't like conflict. I often shy away from difficult conversations, and I never really examine what those conversations could be at their simplest form. I just sense the emotion and go, oh no, don't go there. Let's just go with the flow and smooth it over and not put myself out there. But actually, when you just look at it, simplify it, it's not actually scary at all or difficult.
So I really hear that you've kind of right-sized it. That, yeah.
Yes, it felt like a big squiggly swirling mess, and actually it's just like a nice neat little box with some check boxes by the side of it.
So next steps for you?
I'm gonna start a band.
Yay!
I'm actually seeing them tomorrow at an open mic night, so I'm actually just going to say those 2 sentences.
What might get in your way, if anything?
I don't think anything will, because it's just like 2 sentences.
And what internal resources can you draw on to just make it happen?
I'll get Dickie to give me a good talking to before I go.
Okay, he's an external resource. Great to use him. And what about from within you?
I think it's about just connecting into this feeling of the nerves, the excitement and the calmness, and knowing that what comes at the end is the calm and the rightness and the real gelling. And actually the fact that I'm sure they'll both say yes, and it would be really cool, and I'd love it to be with these 2. So I feel much more confident. I feel confident, full stop.
Great. And that's what you said you wanted at the beginning. So confident to have the conversation. What final words of wisdom would you like to give to yourself?
I'm very much, and I think I'm an action taker, but I think sometimes I don't take action because I sense the emotion and I get away from it. So the words of wisdom are, when you feel that, just actually stop a minute, step back, simplify it, and see what you can make out of it.
Well, thank you, Ali. Thank you for sharing this exciting news. I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great conversation tomorrow. And is that a good place to end?
It is. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's copy this one over. All right. Stop share. Disappeared on me. Oh, that's really weird.
What happened?
It's just when you do just audio, it doesn't have a stop share. It has a little X.
Oh,
So I'm like, where is the stop share? But it doesn't say stop share. There's just a little X.
gotcha.
It's just supposed to guess these things.
Yes.
Anyway.
Apparently so.
All right. So that was pretty interesting, this one. It's actually pretty short. I think it's like 21 minutes or something, 23 minutes, something like that. And I will share my feedback form, but I'd like to hear from you. Well, before I share it, I'd like to hear what you guys thought of it. So I think maybe we'll talk through first the agreement. What did you notice about the agreement in the session?
Well, for me, it took a long time to settle the agreement, and then I feel like I sort of missed it. I didn't really get clear about what the agreement was.
Okay.
I love some of the questions that were asked, and I thought it was, successful, at least as far as her client was concerned, very successful.
Yeah.
But that's what I noticed.
Okay. We'll go over the coaching agreement because it is one of the things we're focusing on here in the beginning. Maria, how about you?
The coaching agreement, I did feel it kind of set me up to already have, I guess, mentality of how the session was going to go as well. It is more emotional based. So her even saying like, judgment free, led me to believe like the client it was going to be more of an emotional base. So I kind of like guiding her emotionally, and even right off the bat when she said like deep breathing, right, and she acknowledged it, I was like, oh, okay, I get. And it was like that throughout the whole coaching session. It was more of an emotional intelligence was coming out within this coaching session, because this is the third one we've listened to, and they all have like different framework into it. And so then this one finally fit in the emotional intelligent aspect of it, because she did piggyback on what she was feeling and what she was saying, and it was more emotional based. I liked it because it's the type of people I work with a lot as well. So it was good to see. It's been, all of these have been pretty good to see, but this one kind of gave me an idea of how that looks like.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, so this is actually an MCC passing recording. The other ones that we listened to were PCC. So what I like about this one is it's very succinct. Like, there's no hemming and hawing, there's no long explanations, there's no storytelling, right? It's very specific. And she does a lot of the checking in with the emotions in the body and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to share my screen. And we'll go up here. So, and I don't have all these filled out, but she did reach them all. But what I like about this coaching agreement is it does take, like you said, Julie, it took a little while to get there. It took until, let's see.
Like
Takes
5
about,
minutes into it almost.
yeah, it's like over 5 minutes. She kind of summarizes it at 5.5 minutes. Yeah. So, and even though she's very succinct, it takes a little bit. So the first thing that she does is she asks if there's anything that the client would like to say or just to feel like, right, in the session before they get started. And that's anything that you would like to clear. That's a good question as well. Anything like that, or are you prepared for our session today? Are you ready to get into it, right? So anything like that that can help the client to settle down and get ready for the session. And then she asks, what is it you would like to think about today? So that's her question. You can ask that, any way you want. What would you like to talk about? What would you like to focus in on? Whatever that question is for you. And of course I have examples as well on the model, but, her basic thing is, what would you like to think about? And then the client, talks about the band and that feeling. Excuse me. And then she says, how would you like to harness that to help you to do some good work here today? So it wasn't just what would she like to think about, but then taking that next step. How do you harness that feeling that you're trying to get to help you do some good work in our session today? And the client answers that as well. And then it talks about common right. And so then the coach says, okay, so how will you know that we've got to common right? There's a measurement question, right? So we had a topic, we had an outcome to the topic, and then now we're asking for that measurement. How will you know that you've got to calm and right? And then further down is where she comes back and says, well, how would you summarize the work that we're going to do here today? And how will you know you've gotten what you need? So she went back to get even more clarity around it after they talked for a couple minutes. And then she explored the importance of the meaning. So what is the work that we're doing here today? That could be, sometimes you have to look at the language. So obviously they weren't US English, and so in this case, what is the work we're doing here today was more of an importance or meaning type question. And then what is it about this conversation that feels important to you? So those two questions are addressing the importance and the meaning. And then asking, well, what is it out of this topic, outcome, and what's important for you that we need to address? So what is it that specifically that we need to work on together in order to get you from where you are now to that sense of calmness, deep breathing, rightness? And then also, what does that encompass what you want? So those two are measuring the needs, like what has to be addressed, the needs of what has to be addressed. So that's a well structured coaching agreement. It's detailed. It covers all four pieces. The client now knows very specifically what they're going to work on, what they want to talk about, why it's important to them, and what they want to feel at the end. And specifically how they're going to get there. Like, what do they have to cover to get there? And that's a strong agreement. And
Wow.
yeah, right. I mean, just thinking about, when I first started coaching, I was nowhere near getting this type of an agreement. Topic and outcome. That's all I really worked for. And then as I got better and as I trained with other, organizations, I've had, training from 6 different coaching organizations. I started to see that there's other pieces that we have to incorporate to really get strong agreements, because especially if you have clients that kind of go all over the place and you're constantly trying to reel them in, this is going to stop that. This is going to allow for a really strong agreement and the client to be very succinct in getting through the conversations. And again, eliminating the storytelling, eliminating having to ask, those backup questions to try to get them to a point where, where they're moving forward, because they're doing the work here. And the other way, I felt the way that I learned to do it, I was doing the work. And that's what I want to try and kind of get across in this course, is that you're going to allow the client to do the work, and the emotional intelligence piece is going to allow the client to do the work, because we're putting it back on them. We're having them tell us what's important, them tell us what they notice, them tell us what they don't notice, how they're feeling, how their body is reacting, how their mind is reacting. These are all things that are part of emotional intelligence that we are going to be incorporating into those sessions. Now, you know, we as coaches, we have emotional intelligence typically anyway, but because the people that want to coach typically have core pieces like empathy, but we can kind of do it on steroids to be really great coaches. And I think that the examples that we've seen so far, and at least one other example that I know of, that you're going to see how it really does pay off to work with your emotional intelligence. Okay. And then, like I said, I didn't fill in everything, but she definitely organized. I mean, definitely talked about acknowledged expression. So she, you know, the client talked about leadership. The coach brings in the leadership. The client talked about, you know, the excitement, and then the coach asks, where is that excitement? It's in, you know, her belly. And she talks about that, right? So she looks for the expressions that the client uses and uses their expressions and their language instead of introducing language, because the clients are going to be connected more to their own language, their own meaning of, you know, the different words that they use. Again, she did these other things. I just didn't put examples there. So coaching the person, what are you noticing about things? What's stopping you? These are ways that we have the client, we coach the whole of the client, right? Or the who of the client, sorry. Well, which is still the whole. So who they are, what are they noticing about themselves? What are they noticing about how they're feeling? What's stopping them from moving forward? Even though, what do you feel that, where do you feel that in your body? So a lot of what the questions that the coach asks actually covers several different competencies, and that's perfectly fine because of the way the questions are formed. So where do you feel that in your body? That's being curious about the client. That's also coaching the person. And it's also exploring words, because the client talks about the body. It kind of explores energy shifts, because she's feeling, you know, and the feeling in your body is typically an energy feeling, some kind of a shift that happens, whether you call it energy or something else. But that's also exploring energy. So a lot of these questions cover more than just one competency. And then, you know, by placing the microphone in the other hand, what does that do for you? So that really makes the client think about what, you know, what, when I say, because the client had said, talked about placing the microphone in the other hand, we're now asking the client to define that for themselves. So what does that do for you, having, you know, placing that microphone in the other hand? Is it just an expression? Does it have a meaning for you? By asking that question, the client gets to examine that. And we're exploring their words. You know, the client talked about placing the microphone in the other hand, so we're exploring their words. And then definitely explored perceptions, beliefs, and assumptions all throughout the conversation. This was just 2 of them or 3 of them. Where do you feel that in your body is one of them. What's your hunch? You know, that's that belief, right? That was a great question. I love that question. And what were you hiding from? So just so the client has awareness around what they're hiding from, so that they don't, either they don't repeat that, right? So then once they know what they're hiding from, and then you explore the whys, then hopefully they get by it, right? It doesn't continue to impact them going forward. No interruptions. Yes, she did that very carefully. Gave summary back, very short ones, right? She didn't go on these long laundry list of things. She just very specifically would say, you know, maybe a short sentence about what she heard, and then asked a question around it. You know, what will a cowboy boots give you? So the client said that and laughed. And so now the coach wants to know, well, what's that cowboy boot going to do for you? And then kind of expanding. So what is it about the stature that's going to support you in this conversation? Again, the what were you hiding from also expands. What does your square tell you? Is expanding, and also still feeling selfish. So having the client look beyond what she initially said about being selfish. What's the significance of hiding? What's going on for you? Exploring. Again, what were you? I didn't list the open question. All her questions were open-ended. I don't think she asked one closed-ended question, which was great. So they were all used concise language. You didn't have to. The client didn't have to sit there and think about what the coach asked, and she didn't have to ask the coach to repeat it. Because sometimes, on some of the recordings that I listen to, I hear the client saying, well, can you repeat that? Because the coach isn't being concise when they're asking the questions, right? So if we can be very concise in how we ask the question, this coach was very concise in everything that she said and did. So I loved that. The client definitely talked more than the coach. I think it was a 85-15. So that was great. You want to keep to 80-20 at least. And then the coach explores progress. So where's your breathing now compared to the beginning of the conversation? What are you noticing that has emerged for you as a new learning? So we want to check in about learning. What's important to you about the simplification? So again, it's more about the learning and focusing in a little bit more on it. What have you learned about yourself here that you can extrapolate out to other situations? So applying that new learning. So she asked, what has emerged as the new learning? And then how are you going to use that new learning to forward future situations? And then, post-session activities. There was no like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step action plan, right? It was just, what are your next steps? And she said very specifically 2 things that she's going to do. And that was fine, right? What might get in your way, if anything? And the accountability piece. So what internal resources can you draw on? Just make it happen. Now she talked about using somebody, and the coach accepted that, but also said, but what about internally? So also asking the client to expand a little bit more and start to rely on themselves. Now, if the client came back and said, I really feel like I need this outside accountability, then that's fine. You would accept that. But you've given them the opportunity by coming back with the question, asking again, to add in some self-accountability, some self-support, in addition to the outside support that they've already mentioned. And then partners to close. So what final words of wisdom would you like to give yourself? And is this a good place to end? Partnering to close is a big part of ICF standards. They want to hear you somehow have the client decide how that session closes. And so, there's different ways to do that, but this is a good one. Is this a good place to end? Or how would you like to end our call? You can even say something like, do you feel like we're complete? Something like that.
It's
That
good.
has the client define if they're ready to move forward now, move on to the, to wherever they're going afterwards. Okay, so with me going through it, what are your thoughts about the feedback that I gave?
I really appreciated going through the form, and it made me see that I need to refine my listening, because I did not recognize with clarity the agreement. It sort of seemed quite fluid and not as specific as when I saw the form. So I appreciate, having the opportunity to do that myself, in the future. And I did write down a lot of the questions that I just loved. I also loved What's Your Hunch? And also, she said, you want edges, which I thought was so great. I think she just offered up, the client did. I just drew a square, and she just went with that,
Yep.
you know, and the square helped her to contain and see clearly that it wasn't as complicated and overwhelming as she thought it was. And the last part I wrote down was um, she saw something simple that was complicated. She saw something was possible that she first described as off the wall. And then she went from being nervous to being excited. And it was just lovely. And I think I had so many things that I loved. What final words of wisdom would you give to yourself was just a fabulous question. It was really good.
All right, awesome. Thank you. How about you, Maria?
I also noted, I have a lot of notes. I have pretty much everything that you have written down in the sheet I have written down here. You see my notebook, it's like all the bullet points. Just because also too, I like to write down the questions that she asked, just so I can also keep in mind, like, as not questions that I would personally ask, because we will all come up with our own ways to say things, but I did hear her say a lot, I hear you, right? And I like that because it makes the person seen, right, and heard. I mean, you are literally saying, I hear you. But she would say certain things, there would be a long pause. Sometimes she'd be like, okay, I hear you. Keep the pause. And then she would, the client would continue on with getting her point across that she, from the question she had asked. And like I said, it was a good emotional, intelligent piece that I enjoyed hearing it. When she did say, so you want edges, I felt that that was something, because the client never said it. So it was something that she added in there. And is there times when that's fine and okay to do?
Yeah, because she
She kind of
was,
described it, but
yeah, she was meaning that. And the coach gave it,
gave it like a word, I guess,
I
right?
gave it a word. And then
Okay.
she came back and said square. So it was in
Yeah.
alignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I highlighted that because I wanted to know if that was like, it was great. It was good. And then her knowing that she had even drawn a square, which just, solidified you want edges. But I noticed that it wasn't like the client said she wanted the edges. She kind of went around it and she kind of just put the word there.
Yeah. Right. Awesome. All right. I'm gonna go to our, when I found that section and deleted the other book. So let's look at. Okay, so I'll just share my screen. So and you can see here where we are. So we did the first class, second class, that was our mentoring last week, and now we're on class 3. And we're gonna go over chapter 3, and then you're gonna get the link after class to take the EQI 2.0 assessment. The book assignment is the transformational coach that we talked through, and in your notebook, in your assignment workbook there's I think it's towards the end. It's a couple pages where it says there's 3 questions for each chapter. So as you read each chapter, just go to the homework assignment workbook and answer the questions for each chapter. Make sure you download that workbook onto your computers, and it's a fillable PDF. Don't go to Canva and do it because they won't save it. So you need to just download it onto your computer, and you can do it right into there and save it as a PDF because it's fillable, and you can just keep working on it.
Yeah.
So actually,
Delilah muted me. It works fine. So when I downloaded it at first, I guess I downloaded or I did like non-fillable or something, and then I deleted it and re-downloaded it, and I was able to, I think it was like a just regular PDF, and I was able to do it. So it worked well.
yeah, okay, good. I had someone from the last class tell me that they did a lot of work, but they had somehow, I don't even know how they got to the Canva like template, and they went on Canva and started doing it on Canva, and I'm like, why would you do that? No.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't take the Canva. Yeah, that wouldn't save on there.
Yeah. So then they lost their work, and I was like, oh,
Oh, that sucks.
anyway. Okay, so, and then also the recording for our mentoring is now uploaded. So every time we have our classes, the next day it gets uploaded in this program section. When you first come in is the program, and then you click through to the course here. So remember, everything's here, your recordings, and then the forum where you can see the workbooks here, and the link to the book, and then the visual that I went over last week of the 83 mindset shifts is linked here. And the schedules will be done by tonight. And of course, you've already added, I think, the actual course schedule to your calendars. Okay.
I have a question. The invite that you sent me, I know you sent the wrong one, but I never got the updated one for the June 20th.
Really? All right, hang on. You should have it now. Hopefully, I just resent it.
What did you resend?
Her confirmation. You should have gotten one as well.
Sorry
For
about that.
that's okay, for your one-on-ones. Okay.
Yep, I got it. Thanks.
All right, good. So let's see. Let's take our break, and then we'll go over the chapter so we can just keep going because then we have an activity as well. So it's 2:10. Let's take 15 minutes, so 2:25, and then we'll come back and get into our chapter.
All right, see you soon.
Yeah. Alrighty, when you are. Maria? Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about cultivating a coaching mindset. And basically what it means is that we have a commitment to growth, a dedication to learning, and a focus on empowering clients. And we do that by fostering an environment where we help clients to unlock their potential and navigate their own path to success, and not where we think they should go, or our path, like we're not using ourselves as examples. We just help them to find their own path and really be empowered to follow that. We also integrate emotional intelligence. It's a foundational tool that helps us to really start to understand and apply emotional intelligence within our practice when we look at the EQI 2.0 model, which we're going to look at today. And also when you see the assessment, you'll see how those, it's 5 sections and then 15 sub sections, and how those all work together to really help us to go deep into our coaching. And it also helps us to connect better with clients, to understand where the clients are coming from. It increases our intuition, kind of that gut feeling that you get when you're with a client and you kind of have, you have that feeling like something's going on, or you have that feeling that maybe they're, what they're saying and what they're feeling are two different things, like there's a incongruency or something. Your emotional intelligence is what gives you that intuition, that feeling. And we're going to talk all throughout the course of how you hone that and really help the clients on a deeper level. So what is emotional intelligence? It's a set of emotional and social skills that collectively establish how we perceive and express ourselves, how we develop and maintain social relationships, how we cope with challenges, and how we use emotional information in an effective and meaningful way. And then the assessment is the instrument in which we get to see where do we fall on the emotional intelligence scale. Now, there's a lot of ways that emotional intelligence can help, and we can apply it to different things. But one of the main things about emotional intelligence, and you'll see this if you look it up, is that they always say it's an indicator of success in life and business. So it doesn't matter if you're a coach, or if you're an executive, or if you're a customer service rep or whatever. On the business side, emotional intelligence is really foundational for growth, but it also helps us with just being happy in life. When you take the assessment at the end, it actually gives me, I don't think it's on your report, it's on the coach report, it gives me a happiness scale indicator for the person that takes the assessment, and I share that with you. Because again, how you score in these areas is how you perceive yourself in the world around you. And that gives an indication of how happy you are. So some of the things that we can look at is employee selection. So, and this would be especially helpful, like if you have a client that has to hire people, right? These are ways that you can use your emotional intelligence to help your client with their emotional intelligence in the tasks that they have to do. So you can use it to for employee selection, because it helps to identify candidates who have not only the technical skills that people look for, but also the emotional competencies to work in a team. Anything team related, emotional intelligence is a big indicator of whether or not that team is going to be successful by the individual emotional intelligence of the members. Self-awareness, this is where we look at personal growth, effective, inner personal interactions, when we're aware of our own emotions or aware of our own situations, our own habits, our own bias that we talked about. Like, it's just that self-awareness in so many different areas. It can be used for succession planning or leadership development as well for businesses, developing leaders. EQ is very high up there for leadership development. And a lot of leadership coaches use emotional intelligence to, again, help coach their clients, their leaders. It's also great as executive coaching and, of course, for team effectiveness. Teams function way better when each of the members understand and manage their own emotions, because the things that create unrest in a team environment and can, impact the team productivity is when people get insulted easily, or they react easily, or they misperceive what somebody else meant. Like, these are all the things that kind of start niggling at teams. And so a lot of teams are using emotional intelligence assessments, even more so than the standard kind of team assessments that are out there, because it can provide a lot of insight into how the team can improve working together. So emotional intelligence is versatile, and it can be integrated into a lot of different aspects of coaching to enhance the process and the outcomes for clients. So here's some additional ways that we can use it for coaching. It helps with developing communication skills. You can develop your own, increase your own communication skills, but also it helps you to help the client increase theirs. And you do this, we're not saying that you teach them things, right? But you do it by emulating how you communicate, emulating how you self-regulate, or how you resolve conflict, or whatever the case is, that the client then picks that up from you as they work with you. And then also the questions that you actually bring to the client can give some indications of that emotional intelligence piece. And of course, if you want to, if a client comes to you and they talk about that they're not able to work in a team, or they're giving you situations where that emotional intelligence will help, then you can always talk to them about integrating emotional intelligence into the coaching itself. So different ways to look at that. Resilience training is a great area for emotional intelligence, because it's one of the foundational pieces of resilience is your emotional intelligence. And you can help clients develop strategies to handle criticism, setback, stress at work or at home or what have you. Conflict, resolution helps clients navigate conflicts effectively, whether that's personal relationships or in work. Enhancing emotional vocabulary, so you can help clients to really identify their emotions. Sometimes it's hard for them to identify their emotions. So when your emotional intelligence is high, you have that emotional vocabulary and you're able to help the client to develop theirs. Improving empathy, like I said earlier, most coaches that come into coaching have a certain amount of empathy, and that's why they come into coaching. We want to help on a certain level with different areas, but the more we improve on empathy and having it also balanced with other areas of emotional intelligence, the better coaches that we're going to be, and the better just human beings. Navigating change, so this helps us to adapt to change, which of course as an entrepreneur, change is always happening. And then just kind of building up positive relationships. It can help clients to understand how to build and sustain positive relationships, as well as us. And then also helping to build trust, communication, and understanding. And then these pieces are kind of universal for everybody. The mindfulness and emotional regulation. So just being able to regulate our own emotions and how we react to things. Being mindful of how we're reacting, or what's coming up for us, and helping the clients to see what's coming up for them. That comes from our powerful questions. And if we don't have that own mindfulness or that own emotional regulation, it's very hard to bring up the questions that are going to impact the client and let them become aware. Motivation and goal setting, foundational piece of coaching. We can really use it to understand what truly motivates clients, which can help them to be more effective and meaningful when they're setting their goals. And then performance enhancement, just using emotional intelligence to kind of identify those blocks or negative thought patterns, limiting beliefs that we might have that are hindering our own performance, but also clients' performances. So by leveraging emotional intelligence in these ways, we can help clients achieve a deeper understanding of themselves and others and lead to more meaningful personal development and success in achieving their goals. So the EQI 2.0 model has, again, it's an assessment tool, but it's also a learning tool for us as coaches. It has 5 main, let's see if I get to there. It has 5 main pieces to it, which is stress management, self-perception, self-expression, interpersonal, and decision-making. So if we look at those and break them down, self-perception is where we understand our own emotions. It includes the subsets of self-regard, self-actualization, and emotional self-awareness. Now, I don't expect you all to retain all this today, right? It's gonna be repeated as we go forward, but this is just the model, the whole model together. So we have to be aware of our own emotions to manage them effectively, ensuring that we can remain composed and supportive for our clients, and that we don't, overflow in our own emotions with clients, right? Because sometimes we can get taken over by what's happening to the client. And so if we really have a handle on our emotional intelligence, then that stops that from happening. Clients benefit by gaining insight into their feelings, which is the first step towards personal growth. Self-expression focuses on how individuals express their emotions and themselves. It encompasses emotional expression, assertiveness, and independence. So coaches need to model healthy expression of emotions, demonstrating clear communication and boundaries, by the way. Clients learn to express themselves authentically and constructively. Interpersonal skills is basically accessing social skills and how we interact with others, including our interpersonal relationships, empathy, and social responsibility. And coaches use these skills to build trust and rapport. We improve our own relationships and empathy, which is really important for personal and professional interactions. And clients improve their own relationships and empathy, vital for personal and professional interaction for them. Decision-making is looking at how emotions are used in the decision-making process. It involves problem solving, reality testing, and impulse control. So just like goals are emotionally, goals are based on emotions, right? We set goals based on emotions. So are our decisions. Our decisions are made on emotion. Now, some people will say, well, no, I can make decisions without any emotion. Well, that kind of is an emotion anyway. There's something there that's allowing you to separate yourself from that decision, right? It's still an emotion. It's just one that you're not engaging with on the surface. So sometimes some things that you'll hear here, you'll say, oh, but I know somebody that can make decisions and they don't really, they're not emotional about it. But there is an emotion involved in it, just like there's an emotion involved in goal setting. But coaches apply these skills so that we can maintain objectivity and we help clients make better informed decisions without bias. Stress management, this final area kind of evaluates our own ability to cope with stress. It includes flexibility, stress tolerance, and optimism, because we have to be able to handle stress to be effective in our role. If we're letting stress build up while we're working with clients, it's, especially in an individual session, then you're not able to focus in on the client and bring your best coaching to it, right? You start focusing on yourself because of the stress there. So coaches have to handle stress to be effective in their role, and clients learn strategies to manage their own stress, leading to better overall well-being. So each of these components of the EQI model play an important role in coaching. And that's why emotional intelligence and coaching go hand in hand. And as we are able to understand and manage emotions better, the better coaches we become. And clients as well. So I talked a little bit, I think I mentioned self-regulation in one of the other classes, but basically, self-regulation is that we're able to manage our own emotions, and it allows us to stay clear and focused again on the client and not allow stress or emotional reactions from ourselves, because this creates a supportive environment for the clients and allows them to be more successful. So things like mindfulness, cognitive reframing are ways that we can do that. And, you know, there's things like deep breathing or meditation. Some people do body scanning, which, in fact, that other coach that we listened to today is one that does some body scanning. She will ask some questions based on the client. I know that she asked one in that session, but she has some sessions where she actually asks more than one question, and she's really doing that body scanning. But just periodically for ourselves, checking in with our own body to release tension and remain relaxed. So when we feel like a knot in our stomach, what are we doing to release it? Things like grounding exercises, using sensory experiences like, you know, grounding out, just going outside and putting your feet in the ground, help us to stay anchored or be present. And you might have a ton of other different ways, right, that you might help to self-regulate, and different techniques that you would use. These are just a couple of them. But these techniques can help us to stay calm. And when we look at cognitive reframing, this is another thing that we can use to help. Well, it can help in our sessions to help clients approach their situations with a more positive mindset, but it can help us as well. So examples of cognitive reframing. So when clients talk about failing, or, you know, that they're a failure, or they failed in something that they've tried to accomplish, we can help them to view setbacks not as failures, but as valuable feedback or growth opportunities or learning opportunities. When clients are looking at seeing a situation as a problem, we can help them to reframe it and view it as an opportunity, right? To move forward, to gain new skills, to gain new strategies, to work through things. Alternative perspective is another cognitive reframing, where we're asking clients to consider different viewpoints or ways of looking at a situation that might be causing them stress or frustration. And that's our questioning, right? We're asking a question that allows them to see it from a different view. And it might be just as simple as saying, how else could you view that to feel less stress about that situation? Right. So these are concepts that have very easy ways of presenting them to clients. And then positive outcome visualization. And this is just asking the client to close their eyes and envision what that outcome is, to be something positive and successfully reaching a goal and looking at that best possible outcome. So shifting focus away from like obstacles or worries, what could go wrong, into what could go right. And that, again, could be an easy question. You can ask them to close their eyes and visualize it, but you can also just say, if somebody's talking about, well, I just know that something's going to go wrong here, you could just, ask, well, instead of looking at it as something's going to go wrong, what would happen if you viewed it as everything went right? And, put that onto the client, and then they're going to start to imagine it going right. So different ways that we can help with cognitive reframing, as well as the self-regulation. So we have a scenario here, and we're just going to talk through it. So we have an overwhelmed new manager. A client has recently been promoted to a management position. They express feeling overwhelmed with their new responsibilities and doubt their ability to lead effectively. The client says, I feel like I'm in over my head and I'm going to let everyone down. So the reframing task, how would you help the client reframe this situation to see their new role as an opportunity for growth? and proof of their capabilities, which their superiors have recognized by giving them that promotion. So how could you help the client to reframe that?
Well, I might ask, why do you think you got this promotion?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question because they're downing their role, but they just got promoted. So how do we let them see that that's a thing, right? Like, I just got promoted, but I don't think I can do the job. Well,
Mhm.
why do you think you were promoted? Or what do you think your whatever superior manager supervisor saw
Mhm.
in you that they gave you this promotion? So yeah,
Yeah.
just getting them to see that whatever that positive is. Yeah. Maria, how about you? Something for that?
I was sort of around the same lines. I would have said, oh, what did your boss see that gave you the promotion? Somewhere along those lines, or what are the abilities required for this new promotion to kind of get them to themselves go into, okay, well, maybe I am qualified because I have this, and this.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So what are the abilities or what are the skills needed for this position? Or what was, if you're looking at like specifics, look, what's the job description here? That you got this new position. So just having them either way, having them look at that, right? What are the things that got them to where they are? Okay, good. Second scenario, job loss. A client's been laid off and is worried about their future, stating losing my job has ruined my career. I'm too old to start over, and no one will hire me now. So this is a reframing task. How can you help the client in reframing the job loss, not as career ending, but as a chance to explore new opportunities that might align better with their life goals and interests?
Yeah, that was my thought. Like, so are there anything, is there anything else that are, or pretty much who are you outside of your career or your job? Right? Like, what hobbies sort of to get them around to, like,
Well, yeah, you could just say, well, let's say, who are you outside of that particular job? That could start that conversation, right? Um, but I'm trying to think of something that would be more powerful here.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like another word, but I can't think of it.
How about you, Julie?
So I'm thinking about a question that I don't know if this is the best way to form the question, but I might restate what they just said. So I'm hearing you say that your career is ruined and you're too old to start over and there's no possibility, and saying something about how does that challenge your belief about yourself?
Yeah,
Or
what do you think why do you think you believe that about yourself or believe that?
yeah, like it or it, what what makes you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, that's a good question. That can open up a conversation. I think to get really specific to help them to even think that they could get a more fulfilling career path, maybe you could say something like, um, you know, how could you reframe this job loss that would allow you to potentially look at a better career for yourself? Or what would be the dream? You could start the whole conversation by saying, what would be the, your dream job right now in this time of your life? Or, I mean, there's different ways to do this. And you could say something like, so I hear you saying that you feel like you're too old to start over and no one will hire you, but what are the specific experiences that you have that another company might really rely on? Or
Mhm.
somebody, somebody in your industry might find really helpful. So getting them to really look at what's the positive that they have, and then you can, in the industry, and then they can address specific companies and requirements after that. But I would get them to focus in on what is the good part about where you are now, your age or whatever. Like, it means you have experience. It means you have skills that, that whatever the 20 somethings don't have. But just asking a question to get them to see that, so that they can see that just because you're at a certain age doesn't mean that your experience is downplayed, right? Your experience in your, in your work life has merit at any age. So helping them to see that first, and then you can do the exploring of like, okay, so what jobs specifically do we think, this experience would be helpful with? But the reframing is to get them not to look at it as, I just ruined my career, and have to start over, into what's the positives of having that experience.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if the things that we just said might be skipping a step, because I mean, of course, there's no absolutes, but there is something very sad about these statements.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, in order to have the client be heard, I'm wondering if I could say something like, I'm hearing a lot of sadness in what you're saying.
I think you could sit with it, have them sit with it a minute. But I don't think you'd want to stay there too long.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to stay there. I'm just imagining a situation where, they are hurting.
Yeah.
And if they could sit with it and just, be with it for a short time and say, and I've heard this on some of the recordings where people will sit with something and then they offer something up. They themselves
Yep.
will come to a different conclusion because they do feel heard. Or I might say, are there things you have always wanted to do you haven't explored? Because I know I've had, 100 jobs in my life, and I still think, oh, that would be fun to do. Or, I might try that, and one could definitely argue, that's long gone, those opportunities. But I'm just I just wanted to put that in there as just an opportunity for the client to really hear that he or she is feeling pretty bad.
Yeah, and that's valid. I mean, I think I wrote this question in the sense of it's now it's like it's time to help them move on forward with it, right? And reframe that
Right.
negativity. But yeah, definitely helping clients to, to kind of sit with an emotion. But again, how do we help them to reframe it once we've acknowledged the
Yeah,
sadness.
I like what you said about, is there a way to reframe that?
Yeah, because again, it's the client's power, right? They have the power to change it. So how might you reframe that loss or that starting over as a positive? What could potentially be positive about this situation? I mean, there's different questions you can ask, but just getting them to start to look at, how to reframe that. Good. Okay, and then developing a growth mindset for coaching is also, again, a part of this initial piece. And core competency 2 is having a coach mindset. Coaching mindset goes hand in hand with a growth mindset. If you have not read the book Mindset from Carol Dweck, that is a book that I recommend. And Carol Dweck in the book refers to a growth mindset as the belief that one's abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. And that's what emotional intelligence is too. Emotional intelligence can be developed through working towards it, right? Increasing it through dedication and work. But it's the understanding that talent alone is not the predictor of success. That's what the growth mindset is. It's a launch pad, and that learning and resilience are key drivers of accomplishment. Again, a book I would definitely recommend that you read. In coaching, a growth mindset is fundamental. It encourages clients to see challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and to learn. And us as coaches with a growth mindset, we're able to empower clients by helping them shift from a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is where people with a fixed mindset think, this is what I was born, these are the abilities I was born with, and I can't do anything else. I can't get better. I can't do this. I can't do that. I was only born with this skill or this talent. And a growth mindset says, yeah, I was born with that, and I have that kind of innate ability, but I can also learn to get better at it. And there's nothing that I can't do if I put my mindset to it and I learn how to do it. So that's the difference between a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset are those that say, oh, you know what? I've never been able to do that. I was born this way or whatever. And the growth mindset people say, yeah, I'm not really good at that, but I'm going to take this class and I'm going to learn how to do it. And that's the main difference between growth and fixed mindset. So when we apply, when we look at developing a growth mindset in coaching, we want to look at it as the basis for everything else, because we can encourage clients, we can emulate for clients that growth mindset. We can help them to see, just by our attitude and the questions that we ask, that there are other ways to get through their difficulties or other ways to reach their goals or be successful. So we want to help encourage clients to get through those difficulties, viewing setbacks as part of the learning process, helping them to celebrate their efforts and strategies rather than fixating solely on results. That's a good point. Some people are fixed solely on the results and not the journey, right? So part of a growth mindset is looking at the journey as success, the journey as happiness or places for joy, right? Not just looking at those results, those end results. And then helping them, and that's why in that, when we ask the clients for their learning, we also want to be able to celebrate the client's journey in a coaching session, from saying, something like, so, at the beginning of the session, you were here and now you're here, and I see that growth, and I just want to commend you on that. I just want to acknowledge that. So we're able to help them. If they don't see it themselves, we're able to also help them to see what we see as progress in a conversation. And then helping clients to recognize and challenge their limiting beliefs, replacing them with affirming beliefs about their potential. So by embodying a growth mindset, we're able to inspire our clients to adapt the same approach, and leading to more dynamic and resilient and adaptable attitudes. And, you know, that's what I enjoy most about clients, is having clients that have a can-do attitude versus ones that don't and feel like they're the victims. And sometimes they are a victim. I'm not saying that that's not valid, but if they're stuck there in that victim mindset, they're not going to get anywhere, right? They're just going to stay there. And so if we can help them to really look at that growth mindset and get out of that, that thinking, then we're going to help to have them have more success. Another part of a coaching mindset is curiosity. So in order to build a coaching mindset that focuses on growth, that means we have to be curious about the next steps, curious about what it takes to do this, curious about what it takes to do that, curious about how the client's going to do something, or curious how they feel about something, right? These are all things that can help with a coaching mindset. And when we do that, then the clients pick up on it. So when we're curious, we ask better questions. And the curiosity I'm talking about is not, I used this word in the last cohort. I'm not saying that we're nosy. It's not the curiosity that's nosiness, right? It's the curiosity where we want to know more about the client. We want to know what makes them tick. We want to know what works for them. We want to know what doesn't work for them. We want to know how they're going to move themselves forward. We're going to know, depending on what we're coaching, you know, where they're feeling things in their body, where they're, you know, I have a somatic coach, which is pretty interesting, who uses, you know, fully embraces a coaching mindset by being curious about the client and things that are going on in their body. Same thing with mindset coaches. They deal with, you know, specifically with what are people doing in their minds to themselves. Life coaches, I mean, there's just so many applications when you look at curiosity. Every kind of coach, any niche can use curiosity as a tool. So being curious and using curiosity in every session is really important for coaches. So we sometimes have to prep ourselves beforehand, because I know sometimes, like, especially if I have, which is what I try not to do, but say if I have 4 sessions in a day, that's a lot for me to have in one day. Like full coaching sessions. Anyway, I can do other things in between, but if I'm having 4 full on coaching sessions, especially with like life coaching or addiction recovery coaching, I can feel like I'm like by the 3rd one that I'm not curious anymore about what's going on. I can feel my energy going down, and my energy going down brings my curiosity down. And so I'm not going to be able to help my client. And so I actually figured that out quite a few years ago. And I would put in my, which I'm able to do in coach's console, I can say, like, for the addiction recovery coaching, no more than 2 a day, because I just can't do it. By the time I get to, again, to the 3rd one, I'm really not curious about my client anymore. And which means I'm not going to ask those questions that are going to help the client move forward. So, so by being curious, it brings the better questions, and it brings the better presence to the client, and brings a positive mindset as well. It all interconnects. So when we're able to ask those powerful questions, we're able to ask better open-ended questions. We're able to actively listen better. We're able to take a learning stance where we're learning more about our clients versus us being the lead, right? We don't want to be in the lead. We want the client to be in the lead. So having that curiosity kind of be the foundation helps us to sit back and really want to learn about the client versus our own knowledge, which is a struggle for some coaches, where we want to impart what we know. But if we're in a state of curiosity, then we're looking to get instead of give. It also helps with having a reflective practice, because we can reflect on the successes our clients are getting. We can reflect on what we're doing well. We can reflect on things that we might have to improve, because we're curious about the clients, but we're also curious about ourselves, and we're curious about how to get better. And we're curious, better at our craft, and we're curious about how to be more successful. So it helps with a reflective practice. And by modeling curiosity, showing our own curiosity, we can help clients become curious too about how they feel, about how they think. Because remember that most people that come into coaching have never had anybody asking them questions solely focused on them. They've never had anybody that's giving them the kind of attention that we're giving them. And so when we are being curious about them, we help them to develop their own curiosity about themselves or their world or the people around them, which can help them in many different ways. And then, of course, by continually learning about new coaching methods or perspectives or emotional intelligence or whatever it is that we're learning, we can make sure that we stay in curiosity throughout our coaching careers. And I think that's like just this whole chapter, really, the curiosity is important for the mindset, and the mindset is kind of the foundation of coaching. Okay, so those are ways that we can incorporate curiosity and how it can benefit coaching and the coach and the client. So let's look at a couple examples here. So everything that I just said, that's how we can stay in a state of curiosity with our clients. So scenario 1, overcoming setbacks. Your client, Alex, has recently faced a significant setback in their personal growth journey. They failed to achieve a goal they set and are now feeling demotivated and considering giving up. Which response aligns with a growth mindset approach to coaching versus a fixed or a non-growth? So A, it's okay to feel disappointed, but let's explore what this experience has taught you and what can be done differently next time. B, perhaps this goal was too ambitious. Let's set smaller, more achievable goals. C, failure is a part of life and it's best to move on and forget about this setback. What's the right answer?
I guess
I'd
A.
say- yeah, I would say
Sounds
A.
harsh.
A. Yeah, it's A. And you know what? I keep finding things that let's. I don't know if I told you this, but the word let us is actually pretty directive. So this might be more of saying, but maybe we can explore what this experience has taught you and what can be done differently next time. Try not to use the word let's, because it is leading and directive.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then scenario 2, challenging limiting beliefs. Your client, Mia, believes she is not cut out for leadership roles due to her introverted nature. She's been offered a promotion that requires leading a team. How would you, as the coach with a growth mindset, address Mia's belief? Leadership comes in different styles, and being an introvert can be a strength. How can we work on the skills that will make you a successful leader? B, if you're not comfortable with the promotion, it's okay to turn it down and focus on what you're good at. C, let's find someone who can take over the leadership role while you support them behind the scenes. What do you think?
The same one, A.
I would say A.
Yeah, A is is the correct one. Now that if you look at B, some people might say, well, it's okay to say, it's okay to turn it down and focus on what you're good at. That's not up to us to decide, right? She's been offered the promotion. So again, we don't want to lead, but we can say, how can we work on the skills that will make you a successful leader? That's a good open-ended, curious question, right? And the client can come back and say, I don't know if I'm really comfortable taking this promotion. And
Yeah.
then we can explore that. Right? But the first step is to say, okay, I'm acknowledging that you're saying you don't feel like you're cut out for a leadership role because you're an introvert. She didn't say because she didn't have the skills. She said because she was an
Right.
introvert. So we're going to ask that question. How can we work on the skills that will make you a successful leader? In that, knowing that an introvert can be a strength.
Yeah.
Scenario 3, encouraging exploration. So your client, John, has several ideas for starting a business, but is hesitant to take the next steps. He fears failure and is stuck in the planning phase. So how might you use open-ended questions to encourage exploration? A is, which business idea are you most passionate about, and what small step could you take towards it this week? B, why not just pick the easiest idea and get it over with? C, what if you fail? How have you thought about that? Oh, and then D, which is, why is that there? Maybe you're just not cut out for entrepreneurship. Have you considered that?
I think you've got an A streak here.
Yeah.
I think I need to change that.
Yeah.
Let's just change that around. Yeah, so which business idea are you most passionate about? What small step could you take towards it this week? So again, different ways we can help the client see things in a different way, encourage them to explore with our own curiosity and our intuition as well.
So, Cheryl, it just occurred to me that in the right tone and connection with the client, it might actually be okay to say something like, what if you do fail? You know,
Yes.
I've thought about things like that myself. It's sort of like, well, I'd still be alive. I would have tried. I probably would learn a lot, and I may not fail, like
Yeah.
just in certain contexts, that's all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So sometimes you want to challenge the client with kind of like what's the worst thing that would happen?
Right.
That's okay. That's not how this was worded, but yes, that's definitely a way that you can approach it. Especially if they have a fear of failure, because sometimes we want to help clients address that fear. What's the worst thing that could happen if you failed? Because we can't always be successful. So that's valid. Go ahead, Marie.
I was saying that's it's funny because that's what my husband does with our kids. When they get scared to ask something, and he'll say, well, what's the worst thing's gonna happen? They're gonna say no. And then if they say no, then what? And they're like, nothing, then nothing happens. He's like, all right, so then just go for it.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminded me of. That's was like, oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, some of the other ones are pretty definitely knows, but
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the worst case scenario thing. Like, what could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? And sometimes we do have to challenge clients like that. Okay. So questions about this chapter?
No, I do have a question about our recordings and stuff.
Yep.
How long does it have to be?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. And I know you said it has to be recorded and transcribed. So you did say the 25 for 30 minutes?
Yeah, I use Ray Notes, and so I just charge $25 for a 30-minute recording. If you want me to do it.
Okay.
I don't think you'll find one cheaper. They're usually like 125 or $1.25 per minute or 130 per minute.
Um,
I can send you the link for that. If you want it.
okay, yeah, because so I have the Zoom, and I think Zoom has something where, what is it, the AI?
Yeah,
The-
it'll give you an AI transcription. But you have to go through it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I probably have to go because I know sometimes even when I'm in another group call with a doula group, it's all like she'll just send it to us, and I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah, you'd have to go through it and, correct things and space it out and that kind of stuff. Because it should show you and then the client on separate lines. It should be time stamped, all that. So yeah, you want to do that, that's fine as well. You can do it doesn't matter as long as you go through it and it's verbatim and separate lines and it has timestamps.
Okay, I'll look into that. If you could just send me the link too, just so I know.
Yeah.
So there's something that's more effective too.
Can it be longer than 30? Can it be 40? Because I mean, this person I'm having a session with tomorrow is a 40-minute session.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to do 40, that's fine. No
You
more
can
than
fast
40.
forward. You can fast forward.
Yeah, 40 is fine, just no longer than 40.
No.
Your final though will be 30 minutes, just so you know, the very final one that you do will be 30 minutes. Yeah. And then we're gonna do Tuesday, Maria, you're gonna coach Julie, and Thursday, Julie, you're gonna coach Maria for next week.
Okay.
And then I will put the schedule up for the rest of the time, but for next week, that's how we're gonna do it.
Okay.
And then you're gonna get the link to take the EQI. You just it really takes about 20 to 25 minutes, but I say put 40 minutes aside so that you can go in, log into the portal, take your time going through the assessment. And then as soon as it'll notify me, and as soon as I get notified, I'll ding it to send you your report. And then we can talk a little bit about the reports on Tuesday as well. If you can get those done this weekend, then you'll have those scores for next week. Okay. So you'll get that shortly. And and then in the homework book is the let me see if I can open that up for you. I'm gonna share my screen again real quick. Oh, not what I meant. Yeah. So
What's the cohort number?
2,
Just 2.
just 2. And the start date, the first day that we
The
met.
start of the course.
Mhm. And then if you go, I'm not gonna go through all these, but if you go all the way to the back. I'll get there soon. Here it goes. The required reading and assignment. So each chapter that you read, you're going to ask what you learned. You're going to answer what have you learned from the chapter? What will you experiment with in your coaching as a result of learning? And what do you hope to do different as a result of those experiments? So those are 3 questions for each chapter, same questions for each chapter.
You
So
want this ongoingly while we're reading?
Yeah, you don't have to, but it's going to be easier for you if you do.
Okay.
Yeah, at the end of each chapter, just do it instead of trying to do it all at once. Okay, and then also your peer coaching starts next week, so you guys will have to meet half hour each hour total to coach as well.
In addition to the class time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, peer coaching. Well, you won't have it for 7 weeks because that'll be too much. So I'll figure that out, but you do need, I just have to make sure that you have enough credit hours at the end and those count towards your credit hours. So I'll figure that out, but let's start next week with your first one. And then again, when I do those schedules, you'll see what I came up with for the rest.
And then the peer coaching we schedule on our own time, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you two just reach out to each other and schedule that.
What's your email, Maria?
My email, it's Maria dot, and it's ALA, is V as in Victor, A, N as in Nancy, OS at gmail.com. Feel like I'm at work.
Alavanos?
Yes.
Okay. What are the best times for you?
Depends on the day.
I'll
weekends
email.
yeah,
I'll
email me because the weekends are usually the best. And then like evening, since we have this course on Mondays, Monday through Wednesday, Jesus. Tuesday and Thursdays, I move things around on the other days for appointments and all that stuff. So it just all depends. We can email back and forth and see.
Now, these do not have to be recorded, correct?
Right.
Okay. And so we just let you know that we had the sessions.
In the back of the assignment workbook is a log for you to log them.
Okay, perfect.
Did you say in the back of the assignment notebook?
Yep, there's a
Okay.
log for your peer coaching.
Awesome.
I have a question about recording. I never have recorded a session on the phone. How do you do that?
Oh, it's on the phone?
Well, I mean, I can record on Zoom,
Yeah.
but what we've been doing is meeting by phone. But it's probably best if I ask him if we can do the Zoom.
Yeah, because I mean, you can record on you have a Apple phone, a
Yeah,
iPad?
yeah.
You can record on there, but then to download it and then get it to be transcribed would not be easy.
Right. And let's see. I'm going to ask. When they record with the Zoom, I'm just trying to remember, they send it back to you and you can just get the audio, correct?
Yes.
You don't have to have the whole thing.
No, and it winds up in your account, all 3 different ones, but you can just do the video or just the audio. Yeah, you can just download it.
Okay. Okie doke.
All right. So are we good?
Yep.
I think so.
Well, have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend. I'll see you guys back here on Tuesday. Thanks.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Be in touch, Maria. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.